Good morning, everybody. Welcome to season 2, episode 3 of the Lighthouse podcast. Today we have a very, very special guest, Professor Jimmy Tat, owner of Checkmat Corona. Jimmy and I met during my brown belt promotion at Sector, and I got the blessing to roll with him. And I didn't even realize what a cool guy he was. And now I'm so happy to have him on my podcast and telling us a little bit about his journey. Jimmy was actually in Canada, and we're ready to hear all about all the cool things he has to tell us about his story leading up to being the owner of Checkmat Corona. Good morning.
Morning, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. So yeah, born and raised in Canada, Montreal to be more precise. So very cold on the East Coast. Growing up there, a lot of snow, a lot of cold, but pretty warm summers too, you know. And
Yes.
did all my school in French, you know, speak French mostly.
Nice.
And then started learning English around maybe age 8 or 9, like that. And did actually went to private school and high school in Canada, and then went to college in French as well, and law school, and eventually
Nice.
after all that is done, I didn't want to be a lawyer. And I started, I guess the reason why, I didn't know what to do. So I just did law school, and I thought maybe it was a good idea to be a lawyer. And then I figured it wasn't a good idea, and just joined the military instead. And that's when I actually started doing jiu-jitsu too, when I joined the military. I figured it was a good way to get in shape, and it's good for the military, I figured. And I just started, that's around 20 years ago. Yeah, I did,
wow.
20 years ago. That's why I joined the military. And I was a medic actually for the Army, Canadian Army, for about 7 years. Yeah, between
Nice. Thank you for your service for that.
Thank you. 2004 till 2000, I think 11. That's when I released. So that's about 7 years. And yeah, and that's about the time I started jiu-jitsu, 2004. And just kind of like parallel to the, military training, I got my belts, and, went up in ranking in the military at the same time. So then by around 2000, end of 2012, that's when I got my black belt. Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
So that's like about what? Like that's like 8 years about took you?
Yeah, about 9 years.
9
years.
Nice.
Yeah, because it was the end of 2012. So yeah, it's about almost 9 years about to get to the black belt.
That's nice. So that's definitely like a 180, like law school and then like military and jiu-jitsu. That's definitely like a total.
Yeah. Completely 180. And then
did you train mostly in the gi?
Yeah, mostly in the gi.
Or
mostly gi, a little bit of no gi, My professor actually, it's called Milan Jiu-Jitsu now, but back in the day it was Montreal Revolution Team, and they're actually under Carson Gracie lineage, and he was although he was you think Carson Gracie be like all top game, smash game, and all that stuff, but he was actually really into more like guard, and like he likes to explore with leg locks a lot. So he taught everything, so he'll do like something like one no gi session a week, and then the rest was gi. So I was already exposed to no gi at an early, in my career. So that's why no gi was never really an issue for me. I know that some athletes in Brazil only did gi, and then when they moved to America, they're like, oh, no gi is like new for us, but for me it was never new. And obviously nice. I like a lot of, I think I'm gonna say I safely assume that a lot of people who started jiu-jitsu back in the day, they were watching like the old UFCs and the Pride and all the MMA stuff, and they can see that, oh, no-gi is better for MMA, because I started jiu-jitsu because I kind of wanted to do MMA too at one point, and which I
Makes
did
sense.
for a little while. So no-gi was definitely
Okay.
part of my training. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And for MMA, what striking discipline did you? Was it more Muay Thai, boxing, a combo?
I did a combo of everything. Like it's kind of weird. It was like in the MMA world, you kind of visit friends and you just kind of visit like different gyms. And I had a friend who used
Yep.
to do Muay Thai more. And then I had a boxing gym right beside my house. I went to do a bit of boxing there. And then
Cool.
I was a big judo guy. So when I started, I did some
Yes.
judo for a few years as well, but not wrestling. Interestingly, wrestling
Okay.
I didn't do, which I still learned throughout the years, wrestling with other instructors. But wrestling was not as big in Montreal because judo took a lot of the National Training Center of judo is in Montreal. So for takedowns, a lot
Okay.
of people did judo, and wrestling was not as popular for some reason here in Montreal. So yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but now with
That's
obviously
good to know.
St.
Yeah.
with George St. Pierre coming up, wrestling is getting more and more popular. Back in the day, so it's
Oh yeah.
yeah, because he trained. I forgot what was the name of the team, but he trained like somewhere in downtown Montreal, where it's like one of the only better places for wrestling in Montreal, which I didn't know of. But well, I mean, I just didn't. My path just didn't led me there. So
Yeah.
and then obviously wrestling got a little more popular since you see how George fight. He knows how to take down pretty good with his wrestling and stuff. So
Yep.
yeah,
And
interesting
do you
fact
feel
too.
like having all of them is good? Oh yeah, please tell me. I'm curious.
Yeah. So actually, when I said I trained at Revolution. That's where I got my black belt. But the first ever team I trained with was actually BTT Montreal, and the first day I was on a mat, George St. Pierre was on the mat too.
That's really cool.
Okay. So I was a white belt and he was a purple belt. So I actually trained with BTT because George was under BTT in Montreal. And we had this no-gi class on Wednesday for the MMA guys in at BTT Montreal back in the day. And this is a true story. Okay. This is a really fun little story that I tell a lot of people, my friends. We used to go to this Chinese buffet in downtown Montreal right across from that gym. And we went to this Chinese buffet to have lunch for all the MMA guys, and then that day George just happened to be sitting across from me. Okay, and
Okay.
and I was like, shit, George's right in front of me. That's cool. So I get to talk to him, whatever. Right? Like he just signed a contract with the UFC. He's about to fight Matt Hughes and all that stuff. And we're talking, and we're talking French the whole time. And then for some reason we started talking. He started talking about girls that he was dating, right? So, and then he asked me, "Is this?" And he goes like, Jimmy, like I trained with like I went out with different girls, like black girls, white girls, like all nationality, but I've never dated an Asian girl. So this I don't know where this was going, and I was like, okay, cool, George.
You're like,
No. Check this out. This is not even the end of the story. He goes, hey, Jimmy, do you have any tip on how to pick up an Asian girl? And I was like, in my head, I was like, you're George St. Pierre. You can probably sleep with any girl you want, dude. And I go, hey, no worries, dude. Let's, I'll take you to an Asian club and we'll just have fun. and it was so interesting, what an interesting conversation I had with him. And till this day, I still remember. I can't make this up, like this is just too.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Like, but
that's like a quality organic story. I love it.
Yeah, and but how he is in person, like how he has that nice persona on TV. That's how he is in person, though. So I can tell you that's
good.
100% true. He's not like, oh, I'm nice on TV and I'm on the dick, and like he's the one that actually told me to, hey, come roll with me, that day, and that was, it made me feel pretty cool about myself, as a white belt. I was like, dude, I get to roll George like first day coming in, and like, so I really appreciate, he is one of the reasons why I kind of like jujitsu too, like, or the MMA aspect in jujitsu. So yeah, he's definitely is like a kind of like a hero for us in Canada, Montreal,
That's
so,
really cool.
Yeah. So. Mhm.
That's super neat. That's so fun. And so you said you did some MMA, and I'm assuming you obviously, I saw you're a well-decorated competitor. Were you
Mhm.
competing throughout all your belt levels? Like, did you start competing at white belt?
Yeah, competed. We did like some, because back in the day in Montreal there was not a lot of tournaments, you know, because jiu-jitsu was so new and underground. So we had to find tournaments, and I definitely started when I was a white belt. 3 months after starting jiu-jitsu, my professor back then, my first professor, his name was Fabio Hollanda. He still runs BTT Montreal, and he kind of pushed everybody to do tournaments, and it was an in-house for the BTT Montreal, like an in-house tournament. And
Okay.
so that's the first time I get to compete. And so, okay, another fun story. This is at the tournament. So I finished first in my division, white belt division, right? So I won my division. It was cool. Was happy, whatever. And then I had this wonderful idea of going to the open weight division, which back in the day did not just do white belt just with white belts with blue belts. It was all belts combined because there was not enough people. So they would just combine all the white belt, all the black
Oh,
belt. So I it just happens that I draw against. I don't know if you know him. He fought in UFC as well. His name was Patrick Cote, and he fought in UFC. He fought for the title. He fought Anderson Silva back in the day. Really big, but
I think,
he was a sorry. He was like he fought at middleweight at the end of his career, but he was more like a mid heavy at that point, or
okay.
heavyweight. And he's just huge, massive. Me, I'm like 170, 160 at that time. I'm a little heavier now, but he was like over 200 pounds. And as a joke, my professor, he was also BTT. He's, you know, good friend with George and all that. He, as a joke, before my fight, he goes, "Here, Jimmy." He hands me a baseball bat. I'm like, "Really, dude?" Maybe you have a better chance.
You get
I'm like,
maybe
"Okay."
a better chance now. You're like, thanks.
Because I got 3 months of jujitsu, and this guy's a pro fighter, right? So he's like, "Hey,
Yeah.
here's a baseball bat. Go."
You're like,
So yeah,
thanks.
yeah.
That's good.
So, you know, fun little stories like that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I've competed at all belts, white, blue. I wasn't a white belt for too long though. I think I was a white belt for like about 9 months, and yeah,
Okay.
what happened was after 6 months at BTT, I couldn't afford it anymore because it was in downtown Montreal. I was a poor student, so I was like, man, I just can't afford, because it was already back in the day. We're talking like 20 years ago. It was already like $130 per month, and I was like, that's
Oh
steep.
wow.
Like some gyms charge
That's
less
a
than that.
lot.
I know, because it was such a rare martial art, and that was a lot 20 years ago. And I was like, man, I can't afford paying $130. So I kind of stopped jujitsu for a little while, for about, I don't know, 6 months maybe. And I was doing judo instead because that was affordable for me. You know, it was like half the
Judo
price,
is
you
always
know?
affordable. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then eventually I bump into my gym, my current gym that I got the black belt from Revolution team. And then I started training under them. And obviously I had experience because of judo and BTT. And after about another 3 4 months training under them, I did like a tournament in Vermont. It's like a Vermont Open, and I won my
Okay.
division. And then that winter, my professor just gave me my blue belt that day. And then ever since, you know, I've been an active competitor. You know, jiu-jitsu got more and more popular every year, so there was more and more
Yes.
tournaments, you know. And I yeah, competed at blue, purple, brown, and obviously black belt. So mhm.
So how did you balance doing that while climbing ranks in the military? Because that sounds, I mean, you know, how the schedule of being a competitor, and
so
military schedule.
so I
So
was pretty extreme. I'll tell you, I'll be honest. Like my family did not support my jujitsu at the beginning. Like they were very
yeah.
skeptical about it. They were like, "Why are you breaking down your body? You're not making money with this. This is a horrible choice of, you know, career or hobby. You know,
Hmm.
uh, which makes it very hard." But you know, I still feel that at that point in time, training jujitsu and be passionate about jujitsu, is still better than me going to the bars and getting drunk every night with my college friends or military friends.
Yes.
So I made some good friends throughout the year, getting drinking with them, all that stuff. Because in the military, we work and then we drink. That's pretty much what we do every
Yeah,
freaking day,
it's
right?
normal.
Pretty much, it's a normal thing.
Yeah.
And at one point, when I was like, after like I'd say up until blue belt, I stopped the drinking because I noticed that, dude, this is making my jujitsu worse, or like it impacts my jujitsu
Yep.
training. Right? So I was like, I slowly kind of like disconnected from, I wouldn't say from them completely, but I wasn't hanging out with them as much. So I'll just
I
just to
see.
give you an idea of my new schedule after that. Literally, I would work in the military from 7 a.m. to like about 3 p.m. or 4, depending. And then I used to, sometimes I was working really far. For a few years, I worked like off the island of Montreal. So it was literally with traffic. It was about almost 2 hours to get back, 2 hours to go there. So I'll wake up like sometimes at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. to do shovel snow, push snow, and then go to work 2 hours and then come back. And then by the time I get back to Montreal, I leave around 3 or 4, right? Jiu-jitsu starts at 6. So every night I go to train jiu-jitsu 6 to 8 after that day, like that Monday through Friday, 6 to 8. And then twice a week, I'll go see my personal trainer after jiu-jitsu. So then it was like
Nice.
around 8:30 or 9. I'll do another hour session. And then I'll get home at around, honestly, around 10 p.m., eat 11, watch a little movie, maybe a show. And then 4 a.m. I'm up again to jiu-jitsu Monday to Friday, like that. And then I still train jiu-jitsu Saturday and Sunday in the morning, but I'll just sleep in a little more because classes are like usually around 11 o'clock or 10:30. So that's like
Yes.
the weekends were like my catching up to sleep, because I'll sleep an average 4 to 5 hours during the week because of the work and driving and you know coming back and do jiu-jitsu. So I'll do that for about, and you said balance. I wouldn't say that was balance. I think that was just extreme.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it sounds to you like it was just you were so passionate about it that you made it
Yeah,
work no matter what. And
yeah.
you found the time to get it in there.
So I mean, this story is the same for I feel that a lot of black belts have made it. This is a similar story that a lot of guys would tell
I
you.
think we
That's
had
how
a
I got.
temporary pause.
Yeah. Can you hear
About
me?
that.
Hello, hello. I don't know. The feed got lost. Jess, I don't know it's on her side or my side. Oh, she disconnected. Let me see if she texted me on. Let me try to. Holy.
Let's see. Okay, I'm back. Let's see if I can get Jimmy back. Okay. I have no idea what happened there, guys. That was super duper weird. There we go. Yeah, I think that we both lost signal for a minute and now we're both back here. I don't know why your mic is muted. Let me unmute this. One moment, Jimmy. So sorry.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Sorry,
So,
that was super weird, but we're back. Hey.
okay. So where were we at? When did it cut? I'm not too sure.
Oh man, we cut off where you were saying there was no balance, and I said, "Oh, you had so much passion that you just made it work, regardless."
Yeah. So yeah, it was not really balanced, and basically every time I had a social event, whether it was my friends or family, I would always be late, basically, and my mom would get annoyed. She would be like, dude, like, it's just one day of the year, you need to make it for Christmas, why you have to be late for, like, I'm like, it's my passion. I don't know, like, I don't, and they, like I said, they pushed back my not push back, but they didn't really believe in the jiu-jitsu until I believe I had like a super fight. And then somehow this local news channel got like hold of this super fight, okay? Because I was fighting in this super fight against this other guy, his name is Johnny. He had just won like world's master one brown belt nogi, okay? And then this local, I don't know how this local news channel got hold of it, and then they want to make an interview about it to me, like on the Montreal local news. And then I was like, all right, I'll take the interview. And then he just asked me a couple of questions about, training, whatever. And then I made it to the local news. And then I showed it to my parents one day, and then I actually won that fight, and I showed it to my parents, like I made the news. Like it was like a 30-second segment at the end of the show, right? 6 p.m. news, whatever. And then when my parents and like all my aunties and uncles saw that, they were like, "Oh, maybe Jimmy's actually good at this stuff," So I was like, "Thank you." So they could have left me alone after that.
Yeah.
Left me alone for a little bit after that. And so I just kept training and, just try to win like all the tournaments. But yeah, I mean, I haven't had a world title to my resume yet, but I did win a lot of local tournaments. I think, and when it comes to majors, I got second place at Nogi Worlds Master 2. So
nice.
That's I won that last year at the heavyweight division. You obviously you're doing like a heavyweight, but yeah, I went up in the heavyweight division and I lost to, I don't know if you heard of this guy, Jiu-Jitsu.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so I lost to him in the finals last year. He's strong as an ox, man. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
Good technique, obviously. But yeah, Jiu-Jitsu runs a
but
podcast
also strong.
Yeah. So he's technical but very strong, and I was like, all right, this guy's good.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel that. Yeah. Now, that's funny that you mentioned what you said. I would say any person who either runs an academy or is a competitor, I would say at least 50%, maybe more of us are used to hearing that echo of, why are you doing this to your body? Like, why are you, like I hear it. Trust me, from my family. Why do you do this? But there's something about it. And I wanted to ask you, what do you think it is that attracted like you? Like, what is it that gave you that this art? Is it the cerebral portion, the physical portion, the combination of it all? What makes it so easy to become so passionate about it?
So I think it's a combination of things. So the first reason why I want to do jiu-jitsu is when I was very young, about maybe age 13 or 14, I bumped into, that old VHS of UFC 1. And this is another stereotype like story. Like a lot of guys did that or saw that also. And, you see all these big guys going up against Royce Gracie. And then you're like intrigued by how can he be so small but beating these huge guys. So you're in your head right away. You're like, there's something to this, you know. That's like my
Yes.
first reaction when I was 13 or 14 watching that. And then jiu-jitsu, like I said, wasn't very popular in Montreal. It was hard to find a gym. And then the years goes by, and this is the second element that kind of pushed me to like, hey, I need to know how to defend myself. And this has happened to me when I was 18 or 19. Legal age in Montreal to drink is 18. So bars, you can enter the bar at 18, 19. And I was a little, I wouldn't say drunk, but drunk. Like I had a few, right?
Yeah.
And I got sucker punched that night in the bar. Boom. Like the dude just hit me like for, I don't know why reason, just, you know, just looking for trouble. Right. And I was like, holy crap, what the hell just happened? You know, like, and then it was a horrible feeling because I've never hurt, you know, I've never been hostile to anybody in public or looking for trouble. I'm usually very docile, very, you know, very avoid trouble and like nice guy in general. Like, you know, not a looking for trouble. And I just didn't understand why someone would do that to me. And honestly, I felt like a victim, right? Like, you know, like I've been violated. Like, dude, getting punched in the face for no reason. Never been in an altercation in your life. I've never been in an altercation in my life. So I felt very violated. Like it was so, it's a very, you know, to me at that point in time, it was like, dude, it's I won't say the end of the world, but it was like, dude, I don't want that to happen to me ever again. So that's why I started like looking up for like a martial art and, you know, something to do. And I met a friend of mine back then he says, hey, you know, I do MMA. I'm like, oh, what's MMA? He's like, you know, mixed martial arts, you know, UFC. I'm like, oh yeah, UFC, you know. And I was like, Royce Gracie, right? He's like, yeah. So he says, hey, let's go to my basement. I'll show you some stuff, right? So he's a bigger guy, but he's like, hey, Jimmy, pin me down as best as you can. Hold me as hard as you want, like put all the way, like, and this is in side mount, right? And I was just kind of like, oh, and then he'll flip me like literally for like 10 minutes. He'll just flip me over like, you know, like a pancake, like, and I was like, dude, I'm in. Let's go.
Yeah.
And I went to his gym. I went to his gym for a little bit, and that gym didn't offer jiu-jitsu, but offered like grappling. You know, but it was like a karate gym, but the karate black belt knew some grappling because, you know, he learned it through, I don't know, Gracie or jiu-jitsu or whatever. And then I was only there for a few months because I was dating this girl back then, and it was so far from my house, but I would do that drive there, and it was just convenient for me to train there, right? So I trained there for a few months, and after we broke up, I stopped training there, right? So then I completely stopped jiu-jitsu again. I couldn't find a gym or didn't hear about any gym because there's no social media back then, and websites were like not that great back then either. So another good friend of my high school friend of mine, he started doing jiu-jitsu. So he said, hey, dude, I just found this gym, and that was BTT in Montreal. Downtown Montreal. And I was like, okay, well, let me try it out. And then, you know, the rest of the story. After about 6 months, I was like, I couldn't afford it. I just, you know, stopped and did judo instead. And then later on, I discovered finally, I guess technically Revolution was my third gym, but I did all my belts with them. So to me, it's still my home gym.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So
thank you for sharing that.
There was a combination of little things. And at first, it was self-defense, getting in shape, and then, but I'm a very competitive guy. So, I mean, in everything, in every aspect of life, like literally, I'll play Monopoly with and I don't know if my siblings are watching this. I'll play Monopoly with my siblings and cousins, and they'll gang up on me, and like, you know, they make deals, they gang up on me, and then they start winning, and I'm like, I get mad. I did remember this. I was like maybe 14 years old. I got mad. I flipped the board. That's how competitive I
like, no,
I hate you guys, and this is what you get.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
That's how competitive I was. Okay.
And it's true because, you know, I've found that most people who do jujitsu, they enjoy that competition, right? But they also maybe had something happen in their life where they felt they lacked control, whether it was
Mhm.
physical, emotional, or something. So that incident you spoke about combined with the interest in the control, but you
Mhm.
know, it's like that it attracts people. And I think that's
Mhm.
a really cool thing.
Absolutely. So yeah, so it was like a combination of little things, you know, me seeing the tapes, me getting sucker punch, me meeting the, you know, friends, and then they challenged me to pin them down. Yeah, I mean, it's very
Yep.
and then throughout the years, obviously you start to train, and competitive as I am, I wanted to, you know, challenge myself and see where I'm at, you know, and over the years it was yeah, it was quite the ride. I mean, at first, you know, you always have this dream of being a world champion, about being the best of, you know, and then as I
Yep.
age, I start understanding that I start kind of past my prime for like a, you know, world champion, like as a black belt, like adult. So I just like, you know what,
Yeah.
I'll still compete. There's masters division, so I'll still compete and try to be the best, at least in my age
Yeah.
division. And yeah, so as long as my body can still work, I'll compete, and I hope that I can last another 10 years before everything starts breaking down completely. But yeah, and but
Well,
even
and with
as
all the
a,
new
you know,
technologies out,
mhm.
oh, sorry, go
I
on.
hope I can. Yeah, yeah. I mean, even if I can't compete as a, you know, individually anymore, like I said, I like you say, you know, you said it first, I own check my Corona now, so that means I can
You have an
teach
extension.
and
Yeah.
exactly, and have my students compete and try to win, you know, so that there's always an ambition
Yep.
to every level of my jiu-jitsu. Like I'm thinking more as you know, of the team now, as of my students now, more, rather than just myself. So it's a completely differential. When you train for yourself, when you teach for the team is, or train for the team is, you know, it's actually very different.
So different. It's
Yeah,
night and day.
yeah, night and
It's
day.
so
You know,
hard, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know
So is
what?
that what
I've
made
been
you move to the Oh, sorry. Go on.
no, go
Sorry.
ahead. Oh, no, I'll answer that question. Sorry, there's a bit of
Oh,
overlap. So so why I moved to America? This is another cute story. So I used to do the Vermont Open. My wife is right beside me. She's just rolled her eyes. So I met I met my wife at the Vermont Open. Okay, and obviously she's American, and she's gonna disagree with you on this one, but she was hitting on me back at the Vermont Open. I had blonde hair. Okay, I dyed my hair blonde, and she's like, "Who's this cute little blonde guy?" And she's still disagreeing, laughing right now. And she's like, "Oh, who's this guy beating all the Vermonters, winning the Vermont Open multiple times every year?" And I'm like, so eventually, I we started talking, and we started seeing each other after she had divorced her first husband, and I broke up with my girlfriend, and we were seeing each other for about a year, and finally she decided, like, you know, Jimmy, I want to move back to California because I have no family here. I want to be closer to my mom and my sister, my brother. And then she asked me if I wanted to follow her to California. And honestly, I've been to California like literally every year since 2008, like for Worlds. And I always spend my vacation in California. So to me, it was such an easy answer. It was like, hell yeah, I'm going to move to California. No problem. And so I moved to California. We got married, obviously, and we had our son, you know, and during all that time. And yeah, we were in Huntington Beach actually when we
Okay, I'm
moved.
back.
Hello, you
I
got
was I was only gone for a second, but I heard most of it, and I
okay,
heard you, but I couldn't see you. So I got
okay,
yeah. I was like ah.
yeah. So we got to Huntington Beach, the first 4 years, I believe, and at that point in time, I didn't have a job or anything. So I was just stay at home dad and just train jiu-jitsu. And we looked up the best available gym close to our house was actually Checkmat Huntington Beach under Joao Assis.
Nice.
So I trained there for about 2 years. Yeah, 2 years, 2 to 3 years. And after 2 3 years there, you know, I was teaching there, but I wasn't making enough for the family. So my wife was like, "Hey, we gotta make more money." So I started taking another job teaching at an MMA gym. Okay,
Yeah.
several MMA gyms. One was in, I don't even remember the name. I think it closed down. It was in Mission Viejo, that one, or some South County gym. It was in the South County, and then another gym called Rounder in Santa Ana, and so I taught there. So I had like,
Oh, I know about Rounders MMA. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, it didn't end well between me and the owner of Rounders, but you know what? I don't know. The guy's probably not even listening to me right now, but in and out, like I don't, I don't wish any, bad blood or anything like that on him. But you know what? We had our disagreement, and we move on, right? And then at the same time,
that's what happens in
yeah. That happens a lot, falling outs. It happens all the time, and I thought, to me, I had certain ethical code that I live by, to and he was like, "But I'm paying you so much money. Why are you doing this?" Like he didn't get that. It's not just about the money, long story short is that so I was like a checkmat black belt teaching at Rounders MMA. And then one of my good buddies, I don't know if you know him, Hustle Jiu-Jitsu. He opened Checkmat Santa Ana. He's a smaller guy, but
I know him.
But anyway, he opened down the street from Rounders, right? So, and I didn't know that he opened up there, and I felt uncomfortable, like running a jiu-jitsu program, being a Checkmat black belt and having a buddy of mine running Checkmat as well down the street. So this is what I told the owner of Rounders. I told him, like, "Hey, I'm just letting you know that my buddy just opened down the street, and I don't feel comfortable like being two Checkmats black belts so close to each other." So I told him, "Hey, look, take all the time you need, but I am gonna quit this. I appreciate you, helping me out all these, this past year, giving me a job, providing for me, but I'm gonna quit the job because I don't feel comfortable."
Conflict of interest, and
yeah, exactly. I told him, like, take as long as you need, I can be here for another 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. I don't, but find a good instructor to cover, to take over the program. That's how I operated back then. And he got mad about it. He fired me right away and hired another Brazilian guy that he fired again 2 weeks after. And it was kind of like a mess for him. But I'm like, dude, I'm trying to be honest about it, because I'm up front. I'm like, hey, I'm being honest about this. I try to, and take your time. Like, there's no rush. And he was just, I guess, super mad that he was saying shit like, "Dude, I've been paying you for a year and you do this to me." I'm like, bro, I just explained to you the whole thing. It's not just about the money. It's about honor. It's about ethical code, it's just, it's not right, So, and I talked to the owner of Checkmat Santa Ana. I told him, like, this is what's going on. He was totally cool too. He didn't mind at all. He was just like, "Hey, dude, I didn't know you were there either, bro. Like, do your thing, and but anyway, in the end of the day, it ended like that. And but it is what it is, that happens,
it happens a lot in our community.
But at that point in time, I had already actually started Checkmat Corona. So I was teaching it's crazy, because I was driving from Huntington Beach to Corona 2 or 3 times a week. And I was subletting from a karate studio, a small room. It was like 300 square feet. Right. So I started from there. It's called All American Karate in Corona on Main Street. And so it started from there. And then I was there for about nine or 8 months. like, and then I picked up about 30 students at that
Yep.
location, and that's when I signed my first lease. Then I moved to
Nice.
the second location, and now I'm in the third location right now in Corona. So that's on a span of basically from day one to now. It's about 7 years, 7 8 years.
Nice.
So
Nice.
yeah.
And your
Mhm.
wife is a black belt too, right? I remember you, or does she train
Yes, she is a black belt. She actually got
as
her
well,
black
or
belt.
does she?
She
That's so
actually got
awesome.
Yeah, she actually got her black belt before me. So
Oh,
she's
really?
she's a senior black belt on me. Yep, yep. And so her professor,
That's pretty cool.
so her professor is my professor's professor. Yeah.
That's
So
really neat.
yeah, so that's
Small world, right?
yeah. Mhm. And
I
yeah,
love that.
she helps me with she teaches one women's class a week at our current gym on Friday. So you're welcome to do that class tonight if you want to.
What I was like, I have to frame in my mats today. I want to come, but I'm going to be literally probably 6 hours of physical labor after this, framing in all my
Oh,
mats at my new office.
okay.
So,
Yeah.
but I will
And
come maybe
actually
next week for sure.
next week, we're not gonna be there. We're gonna be on vacation. We're gonna be in we have open mats. So
What time?
you're
What
welcome
time
to
is
come
it?
train. So I
What
have
time is
a
the class tonight?
at 6 p.m. Yeah. So
I'll see.
I
I'll see.
haven't
I'll see.
yeah, I have an open mat. We have an open mat scheduled for the holiday. But yeah, we have our last women's class for the year, I think, tonight. And then
Okay.
actually, I've been injured. I injured my right shoulder, and my thumb wrist has been hurting. So I haven't been training. I've been only teaching. So I've been a little more active on the playing poker lately, actually.
Oh,
Another
really?
factor, yeah. I'm an actually. Speak of being competitive, I actually play poker at least once a week, and like to do tournaments too in poker. And
That's awesome.
yeah, I figured you kind of knew I did it because your little ad of that little poster had like cards
Yeah.
and tips
Yeah.
on
You
it.
can tell people are probably like, "Why is that there?" I'm like, "Cause he
Yeah,
plays
so
poker."
that yeah, so actually I actually started playing poker before jujitsu. I've been playing poker for like since I was 18. So it's been uh,
Okay.
21,
Oh,
21,
wow.
21 years of poker. Not full time, maybe full time at one point when I was, younger, but obviously with jujitsu and all that, I kind of played way less. Obviously having my son, I kind of stopped playing for a little bit, but I started picking up again lately, and we've been just like to play and try to win some tournaments, and I've been doing good lately. You know.
Do
Mhm.
you feel like that cross translates in terms of the fact that poker is obviously very strategic and in terms of how you present yourself, right, in order to get the proper reactions from the table and I mean, I don't know if it's like that, but I wonder, do you feel like they kind of cross translate?
I mean, to jujitsu, it's a little different for sure. In poker, where it gets strategic, it's hard to in jujitsu. You oftentimes the difference is in jujitsu, you can kind of study everybody in advance in jujitsu because you have tapes
Yeah.
now, and the jujitsu community is very small. You actually know who you compete against most of the time, like half the time. So it's like prepping for like a guy that I've seen compete before, I've competed against before. I kind of already know what he's doing, but at a poker table, you don't know anybody, and it's poker is so big now. Like you have to like actually sit down and play it very safe for about at least half an hour to an hour to get to know how they play, and eventually try to put some pressure with some strategy that you muscle up against those guys. But I'd say that poker, like I said, there's so much different levels to poker too, where like if you play like the lower stakes or the higher stakes, usually if you want to avoid losing money in poker, if you notice if they're good, just walk away from that table. Just switch tables because you're gonna have a bad time with those guys.
Just
They
go
some of
somewhere
those guys I've seen play, man. Money for them is
else.
like they don't care. It's like just chips, So it's scary sometimes at those tables. So I try to avoid being involved in against the
Yeah.
almost a semi-pros and pros. Like, nah, don't play with them. They'll. It's like, hey, Jimmy, you got Bushesha right now. Are you gonna bro? You want to go against him? Like, nah, I don't want to go against Bushesha right now. You fucking kick my ass, bro. Or Adam Wersinski, they would kick my butt. So
Yeah.
you kind of choose.
Yeah. You're like,
Who
I'll
to
roll
go
with them, but
against.
I ain't trying to compete him. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, but in terms of like mental, I feel poker definitely is a little more mental, obviously, because it's, physically you don't do anything much, but you do get tired, like mentally, like thinking, a little more in jiu-jitsu for the mental
Yes.
aspect for sure. But strategic, yeah, there's a bit of strategy. Of course, there's
Yep.
strategy in poker, but the preparation is completely different, I feel. But I like to play poker because it's mentally stimulating for me. And I play a little bit of video games too to stimulate. I want to keep my brain active. I'm not a big reader. I should read more, but I usually listen to like podcasts and when I'm driving most of the time, or
Yes.
because I don't know, I just get bored. I you know what? I have this thing where when I read, I just fall asleep. It's really bad. It's really bad.
I feel
So
that.
I
I feel that.
so I have to find different ways of stimulating my brain. And jiu-jitsu is good for stimulation, but I feel like poker and bit of video games. It's a good, Of course, I read a bit, but it's like sports related stuff. I
Oh, yeah.
watch football. I watch hockey. I like to read sports articles, but it's not the same as reading book or so yeah.
It sounds like you're a very like high level person in terms of just you have a lot of plates you're spinning, but
Hmm.
you're thriving with that, because some people, everyone's different, some people they can only spin one plate at a time and they're having a hard time and you're over here like spinning a bunch. So that's
Yeah, I
awesome,
feel that I feel like as a business owner, you don't have a choice. You kind of have to learn to do
It's true.
everything, whether it's negotiating a lease with
Yep.
your landlord, finding building a
Yep.
curriculum for your gym, hiring people, and not just that, but interaction and conflict resolution. There's always drama no matter where
That
you
part.
go. know? So
That
whether
part.
it's at your
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
whether you're working at your 9 to 5 job, you're owning a jiu-jitsu gym, hey, even at poker, man, there'll be drama, man, everywhere. Everywhere you go, there's always be drama, and how
Yep.
you resolve your problem is how you're gonna come out on top. And yeah, I mean,
So true.
one of the most difficult thing I had to go through with me is having one of my black belts kind of betrayed me and then open a gym literally walking distance from me, like across the street from me. And that was one of the things where, you know, that stuff happens, man. And it's think of it now. It's so silly because it was just we have a difference, where we just see eye to eye on certain things, and then I run my own business, so I set the rules in my gym, right?
Yeah.
He's my black belt. So you teach there. If I feel that I want to change the rules for a certain way because I feel that it's gonna make the gym better that way to hold my gym to a higher standard, then that's
Yeah.
on me. I'm allowed to change the rules of the gym. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because I didn't like the fact that you were dating a girl at my gym, man. Like, and then after a
That's a
while, I
big
just
no
learned
no.
that's the thing. But that's the thing. As an instructor, as a black belt, at first, I messed up. I messed up at first. I allowed him to do it because I thought he was my homie. But then after a while, dude, this is not gonna work out, dude. So I was just
Yep.
like, dude, I'm changing the rules. So what? What are you gonna do? It's my gym. I do whatever I need to do to preserve a certain, discipline, and then, obviously it got ugly. His ego,
Environment.
my ego, it went all to shit, and then he decided to, obviously open down the street, and then he poached a few of my students, and okay, sure, whatever. And after that, it was, well,
Yep.
we learned from that. We just grew out of it and
Yeah.
grew out. We're above that now, and we actually, Jim actually got much stronger afterwards that he left. So, and you know what? He's doing his own thing. He's doing good. Good for him. That's all. That's all I gotta say. And that's
Yeah.
stuff that happens, and you deal with it, and in the end, you rise above. So yeah.
It's so true. It's so
Yeah.
true. I
You
would
own a
say
gym too,
anyone
right,
who
Jess?
makes it
So
to any. Oh yeah, so you already know I know how it
yeah,
is,
so
and
you know how it is. Eventually,
yep.
you gotta kind of like deal with drama, and you're gonna go through all those
Yeah.
emotional roller coaster. You know. Hmm.
Oh, it definitely is. It's funny because, I've been a one-on-one personal trainer for 10 years and, you connect with your clients on a one-on-one basis. Now I've been running a gym for like 2.5 years now. And
Hmm.
yeah, you're right. It's so many layers of like just the environment you're creating, the type of training environment, the room, how students are interacting, how instructors are I mean, it's just like there's so
Hmm.
many. It's a lot. I would definitely say a lot of mental, like there's just a lot that goes into it, a
Hmm.
ton.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
love
and
it
there's
because
always.
I love getting to see people like interacting and like they come in like, like with maybe a somber face and then they leave like, with that like, that post jujitsu, like
Hmm.
they look like happy, they get to interact. Like that's when I see that, I'm like, see, this is why I'm doing this, right? Like to
Hmm.
create this environment, like the people.
Hmm.
I love it. So
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like you said, like a lot of obstacles sometimes, a lot of drama sometimes, but in the end of the day, when you feel that you built a nice community and see the people smiling, the kids running around, the parents happy, like that you're building this for them. That's all I need. Like like I have at my last kid's promotion, like I have some parents come up to me, which I don't really talk to them that much. Like most of the time I manage or I teach the kids, and they come up to me and they like literally like, hey, dude, we super appreciate what you're doing for us, for our kids, for the community, and we really want you to keep doing that. And that's enough for me. That's enough for me to just keep going. Like the rest,
yep,
my injuries, my
yep,
tournaments, I don't care
absolutely.
about that. Tournaments, injuries, drama,
Yep.
f all that. Like, dude, you build something that people believe in, and you're building something positive out of it. And that's what mattered in the end to me. So yeah, and keep doing your thing, and
And
I'm sure.
you're helping people build themselves up, and that's the best part too.
Yeah, and some of the guys, man, they come from so far. Some of them had, whether it's they're out of shape or mentally they weren't there, but I can see that I'm making, there's an improvement over the years, and I'm so I'm happy to see that a lot of jiu-jitsu has had such a positive impact on them, and I want to keep doing that for them, for all the new guys too, or
I love that.
or older guys, obviously. So
Yeah,
that's a
no,
part
I
of
love
it.
that.
Hmm. And I'm sure that's one of the reasons why you started
Wow.
jiu-jitsu too.
Oh, absolutely. The reason I decided to open my own space is, being a female, like, I've obviously, I'm sure your wife knows, and, I'm small, and it's just like, I had a lot of great places I trained, but it's just hard to, like you said, you want to have a voice in how things are run. You have to have your own gym. You don't really get to like,
Hmm.
like just be a student and kind of like, and so that's why I was in a space of like, okay, I want to create a space with this. I had this vision, and up in Big Bear, I was up there for a whole year up there, and I had like 30 students between the kids and the adults. It was a very small town population, but I got to witness people coming in from being people who wouldn't make eye contact and would hold themselves low to like, hey, everybody, come take a picture, like, and like
Hmm.
confident, happy people. And that for me, like, oh man, like that's just it makes everything so worth it. And then now I'm in Pasadena, and my grand opening isn't until January 6th. So I'm going to be building
Yeah.
a whole new student base now. So I'm kind of excited
Yeah,
to
I
see,
think
where it goes.
I think you're saying you're trying to get an open mat. Is it a soft opening like in December? Like you tried, right? But it's
I'm actually
okay.
going to be, I pushed it back because,
Okay. Yeah, because I was gonna tell you I probably won't
yeah,
be
I
able
pushed it
to.
back to January 6th.
Hmm. Okay, I'll try to make it. I'll try to make it. January 6th. It's like Friday, Saturday, right? Saturday.
Saturday. It's a
Yeah.
Saturday afternoon. Yeah, I'm doing it on a
Okay.
Saturday afternoon because I figured the holidays are over. Maybe more people will, it would be better. And it gives me time because it's not done. And I'm a perfectionist and it has to be right before I
Hmm.
present it. So I just
Okay.
have a lot
Awesome.
more work to do still.
Awesome. Will you be teaching a class that day, or is it an open mat, or how are you gonna do it?
It's just going to be an open mat that day.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, just
Cool.
an
I might
open mat that day.
I might swing by and say hi. I probably won't be able to train, but I'll swing by and say hi for sure. I'm excited to see your new space.
That would be
Hmm.
amazing. That would be
Yeah.
amazing. And I'm definitely going to try and get out to you soon.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You guys are always welcome. We're in Corona. It's how far is it from Pasadena? Like 50 minutes, maybe. No traffic. Is it?
No
I'm not sure.
traffic about 50. Yeah, no
Okay.
traffic about 50. With traffic, it could be up to like 1.5 to 2, depending.
I'm
So I
gonna
just got to
say
time it
probably.
according.
Yeah, it's probably better to go visit on the weekend. You know how California traffic is.
Yeah,
Probably like Sunday or
Friday
Sunday.
night traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, for sure. That's the only thing about California I don't like is the traffic. It's just horrible, horrible, horrible.
It's
Yeah.
so bad.
But
Well, this has been amazing to hear this. This is so
hmm.
cool to like get to know about your journey and this is cool. It's cool that we kind of just happened to be there that day and that, Professor Greg invited you. So I felt very honored to
Oh
get
yeah,
to,
Greg.
be there with you on the mats and now to have this interview.
Absolutely. It was weird because he hit me up and I'm like, dude, I'm promoting somebody in California. I'm like, what? You have somebody in California? What's going on? And he's like, come to Sector. I was like, dude, I don't know this person. And then in my head, I was like, you know what, bro? I haven't seen you in a while, though. I'll come see you. How's that? Okay. And then I met you, and then we had dinner,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, this is actually a pretty cool person. So I'm kind of glad that I went because I was like, I'm like going through traffic to get there, and like, oh, I'm like, but you know what? I don't regret it. I'm so like glad that I went and yeah, got to meet you and see Greg and have have a bit of sushi afterward. That was cool. That
That
was
was a nice
awesome.
meal. That was a
Yeah.
nice meal. Yeah. Meal and a beer. It was nice. Yeah. I enjoyed
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that was awesome. And yeah, so everything happens for a reason, right? I made a decision and like, yeah, I'm gonna go. So I see Greg and then I met, who knows, maybe that person was cool. And turns out you're super cool. So it's amazing.
Thank you. So are you. I appreciate that. I love it. And
Hmm.
I look forward to getting some I know you're injured right now, but I don't know if you know, I have like a low light laser machine. So if you need me to hit it at all to help it heal, I
Well, yeah,
got you.
maybe on the January 6th, if I can make it to your gym that
Yeah.
day, I'll let you know. And
I have it. I have it there in the office. So yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. Hey,
Sweet.
good luck to you in this podcast. It was fun. It was really fun,
No,
and
thank you so
I
much.
hope I wish you all the best success, and hopefully everything will go well in Pasadena. All right.
Thank you so much. And I pray you continued success and thank you so much. And
All right.
everybody check him out. Checkmat Corona.
All right. Have a good weekend, guys.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.